Welcome to All in the Queue. This channel will be dedicated to uncovering what is below the surface of what can be seen. To demonstrate what you can expect from this channel, we're going to be talking about a subject that everyone is talking about right now. We're going to be talking about Dalton, Illinois, and the super mayor of that town, who is Tiffany Henyard. I'm sure you all know of her by now. But today we're actually going to get to the village attorney, who is Michael T. Delgado, and we're going to talk a little bit deeper about attorney Michael Delgado. So you see here, as you see, I have it titled Delgado, Deeper Ties, Powerful Allies. We're going to begin to talk about him first as a man. When we are looking at some of these individuals, we need to start looking at them as people first, to find out their character, to find out what drives them, to find out how they got to be where they are. It will probably tell you more about who they are, finding out a little bit about their lives. We're going to go back in Michael Galdo's life to 2005. So let's go there. How it all began. So, little background history about Michael Delgado. He graduated from law school in 1998, and he was registered with Illinois Lawyers Association at that time. As he was beginning to practice law, he married Bethany Potempa. They got married in 2005. At this same time, Michael Delgado became the village attorney for Cicero, for the town of Cicero. Just keep that in your mind. So as we look at Michael T. Delgado, and we want to look at him as a person first, we're going to look at the fact that his wife Bethany in 2016 filed for divorce. So they had been married for 11 years, and after that time, Bethany files for divorce. I have a question about that. Not a lot of times do the women file divorce, and if they do, there's been some sort of impropriety or some sort of disrespect that has happened. So in the article that we're going to be looking at and taking apart, it is the Cook County Record. This article you can find, it's the February 4th issue of 2019. And it starts off saying Bethany filed for divorce in October of 2016 in Cook County Circuit Court. The couple was married in May 2005 and have lived in suburban Burridge, according to the court documents. Proceedings have been soaked in vitriol and the litigation continues. When they say proceedings have been soaked in vitriol, you better believe they're talking about a woman scorned. So in this case, usually when that happens, the wives, they are the ones that know all of the little dirty details. All of the pillow talk has gone on, allegedly. So Miss Bethany Potempa, she knows a few things. She knows a few things. As we go forward, we're going to find out what she knows and what she's trying to uncover. The Cook County Record goes on to say much of the acrimony was centered on Bethany's attempts to fully examine Delgado's finances and Delgado's resistance to that effort. Now, why would this woman particularly choose to go after the finances? Yes, because she's definitely scorned, and she definitely knows how much money there is. 11 years of marriage, she knows that there's a lot of money coming through these bank accounts. So let's see, it says court papers said Galdo reported a gross adjusted income of $2.5 million on his 2015 tax return. But Bethany said Galdo has refused to turn over more recent returns and other financial records, merely furnishing what she considered peripheral. Now let's connect this from just his personal life to his business dealings. Who else do we know likes to hide finances? Who else do we know doesn't want to turn over papers, receipts? Who else do we know does things like phantom payroll? Who else? Think in your mind. Who else do we know that's connected to Dalton, Illinois, that does that? Let's continue. It says unfolding finances. Let's read. In a January 25th filing, Galdo said Bethany's attempts to delve into inaccuracies in the financial filings presented to her by Galdo are based on a misunderstanding of Michael's and his law firm's tax returns. This is a funny statement because how can you misunderstand financial filings? They're all numbers, right? How can you misunderstand $2 million versus $200,000? How can that be misunderstood? Especially if it's on paper. I'm not understanding that. In the filing, Galdo said he serves as the sole shareholder in his law firm, which is organized as an S corp. So he said, 100% of the firm's income / profits flow through his individual tax return. He said his tax filing method results in phantom income, producing what appear to be inaccuracies in an otherwise accurate accounting of, he says, his actual net income. This whole paragraph is full of so many oxymorons, I don't even understand it. So you have your business taxes or income and profits go through your individual tax filings, and it makes it look like you have income that you don't have. It's basically what this paragraph is saying. How do you even begin to do that? How do you even begin to think? What are you hiding? When you have to take your business income and profit and put it into your individual tax filings, how is that possible? How? How is that possible? The Galdo law firm employs 25 lawyers. That is indeed a lot of income and profits coming through his individual tax filing. We'll put a pin in that. Amid the contest, some of Bethany's subpoenas have been squashed, but others have been allowed, with protective orders in place to let Galdo first redact clients' personal information as well as other privileged information. Now, I can understand him taking some of the people's addresses, phone numbers, things that would identify where they live, and possibly where they work. But their names, I mean, sir, this is a divorce proceeding. What would somebody's name? What would it matter? Those are questions that I'm asking. According to the court documents, Galdo has financial interests in other corporations identified in court documents as D4 Holdings, 122243 South Harlem, Privity Consulting, and MBN Holding. Galdo also has invested in Southwest Community News Group and Southwest Regional Publishing, which publish a number of suburban newspapers, the document said. Now let's dive into this particular portion where it says D4 Holdings. So we find out that D4 Holdings is an investment firm, mainly communications. Privity Consulting is a mortgage underwriting, training, business consulting, and home buyers assistance business established in 2013. MBN Holding is mainly technology companies as well. Let's go back to this D4 Holdings, which is an investment firm. So they and it mainly invests in communications. So it could be any type of business. It could be cell phones. It could be computers. It could be tablet. It could be anything. As could MBN Holding, mainly being technology. But let's digest this. The Governor J.B. Pritzker, just passed a $500 million bill for the technology industry in Illinois. Wonder how Galdo would benefit from that type of money coming into the technology arena, since he's a stockholder, an investor in some businesses, allegedly. He also owns Southwest Community News Group and Southwest Regional Publishing. Let's go to this 122243 South Harlem. That's actually a strip mall, and I think it's in Palos Heights, but it is a strip mall. This Southwest Community News Group and Southwest Regional Publishing, they own some of the South Suburban newspapers, such as the Reporter, the Regional News, Des Plaines Valley News, Great Southwest News Herald, Reporter, and News Hound. So these are publishings, articles, newspapers that he's invested in. Let's go to the next slide. So now we have the FOIA fallout. FOIA meaning Freedom of Information Act. In the course of serving subpoenas for financial records on the newspapers and Delgado's firm, Bethany also subpoenaed Michael Madigan in July 2018. Delgado responded by lodging an emergency motion to squash the Madigan subpoena, saying Bethany should know from information already in her hands, Madigan has no financial interest in Delgado's group or the newspapers. So Michael Madigan, we know him as the Speaker of the House at this time, 2017, 18, 16. He was Speaker of the House for a long time. Speaker of the House is a very powerful position, and we'll get into that later as well. But Delgado filing an emergency motion in a divorce proceeding is odd. I mean, if Bethany had the information she needed, she would have never filed for the information she wanted. I mean, because she's the wife, she knows. She knows exactly where to go. So for him to file an emergency motion in a divorce proceeding about questions, if he's not a part of his law firm or if he's not an investor, then why the emergency motion? Then she'll file the papers, she'll find out the information, and she'll find out that he's not. And then you can go on about your day or your business. This is shaping up to be very odd behavior. Delgado said if the subpoena was not stopped, the effect on him would likely be catastrophic. Wow, who uses catastrophic in a divorce proceeding? I mean, I could think of other things that would be catastrophic. Catastrophic would be that the judge gave her that I would have to pay her alimony at the rate of, let's say, $100,000 a month. That would be catastrophic. But subpoenaing some financial information, I'm not understanding how that would be catastrophic if you said there's nothing there. Good question. The insinuation implied by this subpoena, namely that the Illinois House Speaker and chairman of the Democratic Party has an ownership interest in Michael's law firm, threatens to destroy Michael's career and firm. Delgado's attorney, Stephen Wittenberg, contended. How would a subpoena for the Speaker of the House destroy this man's career and firm if he's not an investor in it? How would that, again, allegedly, these are all questions that came to my mind because I do not understand how this would be catastrophic. I do not understand how it would destroy his law firm if he said that Bethany already had papers that told him he was not an investor. Let's read on. Further, the subpoena wrongly suggested Madigan has an undisclosed interest in the newspapers, which imperils the newspaper's integrity, Delgado said. It definitely does. No politician or person in politics should have any investment or any part of a newspaper because it could imply that they can influence the news that's put out. It could imply that they put out propaganda. It could imply that they put out slander against their opponents or against people that don't vote their way. So he definitely should not be an investor in any type of newspapers or any type of media whatsoever. Bethany and her counsel are clearly attempting to intimidate Michael by taking action that they believe will incite animosity in the House Speaker toward Michael. Wittenberg claimed, adding there is no evidence Madigan has any connection with Michael's law firm or any of Michael's business interests. Wow. Animosity. These are some interesting words that Delgado's lawyer, Wittenberg, is using. These are some very interesting words. Incite animosity. How would it incite animosity if he doesn't have an interest in his business or his law firm or Michael Delgado as a person? How? How would that incite animosity? He would simply be answering a subpoena that his wife just frivolously put out there. If she doesn't know something, if she doesn't know anything, why are these things that she's doing making him so upset? Questions upon questions. Eventually, one of Bethany's attorneys, David P. Kirsch, submitted Freedom of Information Act requests to 9 governmental entities as a way of learning about Delgado's financial picture. Kirsch wanted copies of invoices, bills, and payments made to Delgado's firm. Now, I'm just going to say this. I'm going to give you a list. I'm going to read off a list of townships and villages that Michael Delgado represents. They said 9 governmental entities. I counted 11. So maybe at the time he was only working for 9 of these governmental entities. And we don't know what entities they were, but it says 9. So I'm going to read off the ones that he currently represents. Thornton Township, Berwyn, Chicago Heights, Cicero, Broadview, Melrose, Morton Grove, Stickney, Zion, Dixmoor, Dalton, West Central Municipality Conference, which is actually, I believe, a college. Associate Judge Naomi Schuster overrode Delgado's opposition to the FOIA filings, ordering the FOIA request be satisfied, but telling Bethany to share with Delgado the information she receives. So the current judge in their divorce was a judge by the name of Naomi Schuster. She overrode Delgado's opposition to the FOIA filings that Bethany was asking for. So keep that in mind, that the judge on the case, Naomi Schuster, overrode his opposition and gave Bethany permission to FOIA the information. Kirsch then asked for Schuster to be replaced. So then Delgado's lawyer, well, no, because then it says up here, David Kirsch submitted, so that was Bethany's lawyer. So Bethany's lawyer asked for the judge, Naomi Schuster, to be replaced by another judge on the case. But Schuster refused. Kirsch appealed, with the Illinois First District Appellate Court ruling in December of 2018. The matter did not fall within the appellate jurisdiction. So the weird thing about this is Bethany's lawyer asked that the current judge, who was Naomi Schuster, who just gave them a victory and told them that they could FOIA for these invoices that she wanted from these non-governmental entities. So I don't know what happened there. That's weird. It's a weird feeling. It's weird that her lawyer is going to ask that the current lawyer that just gave them a victory be replaced. So let's read on. However, on January the 28th, Judge Schuster recused herself. So all of a sudden she steps down. She recuses herself. In a brief filed the next day, Delgado and his lawyers asserted Bethany and her attorneys bullied the judge into recusal using personal attacks and thinly veiled briefs. They said the recusal decision gives Bethany a second bite at the proverbial apple under a new judge who must now be brought up to speed on the case's lengthy proceedings to date. So I don't know. Let's talk about this. Let's talk this out. So they all of a sudden Bethany's lawyer wants this judge to recuse herself. She says no, but then the next day she decides she's going to recuse herself. Delgado accuses his wife of forcing the judge to recuse herself so that they could get a new judge. So when a judge recuses themselves, then another judge has to be appointed. But then there's lots of time that goes by because the judge that's now newly appointed has to familiarize himself with the case by reading the case notes and also looking at all of the records and evidence that's involved. So that would give Bethany enough time to maybe regroup and further dig into some things that would work in her advantage. But then it would also give Delgado some time to allegedly get rid of some things, hide some things. Who knows? I mean, to me, both sides could have benefited from this, but Delgado was opposed to it. Kirsch declined to answer questions from the Cook County Record about the case. A spokesman for Delgado answered 2 questions from the Cook County Record, but declined to answer most important questions posed to him about the case. Delgado's spokesman, David Ormsby, deflected questions about Delgado's efforts to stave off Kirsch's FOIA request. Michael Delgado does not serve as the FOIA officer for his government clients. The decision to approve or disapprove FOIA requests with those FOIA officers lie with those FOIA officers. So I want you to keep a pin in that where Michael Delgado says he does not get involved in FOIA requests. I want you to remember that when we get into part 2, because that's going to be important. Also remember the fact that this judge recused herself. Normally when judges recuse themselves, they have to write why they're recusing themselves. They could write anything from the person's child goes to school with my child, or they worked on my campaign, or they did this and I was involved. So usually they write a reason they're recusing themselves. In this case, this judge neither wrote a recusal nor did they give an explanation by mouth to the media. Keep that in mind. That's strange, very odd. All right, so while this divorce proceeding is going on, another matter pops up. Another matter comes into play. And we're going to read about this. Cicero towing contract. Okay? While the divorce has been playing out, the family conflict has also been on display in separate lawsuits over Delgado's role as Cicero's town attorney. In one of the suits, Delgado is accused of legal malpractice and conspiracy. You're getting ready to find out why. Bethany's father. So the woman that he's married to, and now in a very heated, ugly divorce, her father has now filed suit against him in the middle of this divorce because they are the towing company for the town of Cicero, for which Michael Delgado works. I mean, if that's not a conflict of interest, I'm not sure what the definition for conflict of interest means. You're married to the daughter of the tow truck company that was contracted for the city that you work for, and you oversee contracts in that position. All right. Bethany's father, Eugene Potempa, and brothers Tim and Pat Potempa run Tough Car Inc., a towing company which inked an exclusive contract with Cicero in June 2005, 1 month after Bethany and Delgado wed, according to the Potempa suit. Delgado acted as attorney for both Tough Car and Cicero in arranging the contract. So, questions I have about this paragraph is, it says inked an exclusive contract. So, allegedly, would that imply that there was no bidding for the towing contract for the town of Cicero? So, you mean to tell me that who else do we know does no bid contracts? What other town has been doing no bid contracts? Very interesting that Delgado is involved in that, and also in this other town that allegedly doesn't do correct government bid contracts. Ormsby said Delgado denies the Potempa's claims. Michael Delgado has never represented the Potempa family. Mr. Delgado has been transparent with the town of Cicero regarding his relationship with the Potempa family, Ormsby said. The Potempa men also alleged Delgado oversaw an agreement by which Tough Car did not pay rent to Cicero for a lot the business used, while Tough Car agreed to release towed vehicles to owners without charge when asked to do so by Cicero officials, resulting in $2 million in lost fees. So the accusation was that Delgado allegedly oversaw an agreement where the Potempas, who were owners of Tough Car Towing, would use a city lot without having to pay rent to tow the cars to. And anytime the Cicero officials called them and told them, oh, just give that person their car back and don't charge them, then that's what they did, because they were in a lot that they weren't paying rent for. And that was set up through Michael Delgado, allegedly. The suit further alleged Delgado tried to hide his family relationship to the Potempas from a FOIA request by having another party sign the towing contract on the Potempas' behalf. When I read this, I immediately felt like I'm going to call Delgado Mr. Loophole, because that is a major loophole right there. I mean, who would think of that other than a man who's been working in municipal law, other than a man that's been working in the political arena, to find a loophole such as that, to say, have someone else sign the towing contract so that it doesn't come back to me because, I'm married to your daughter. Allegedly. Wow. In addition, the Potempa suit alleged that as the Delgado divorce proceedings began, Delgado schemed to have Cicero drop Tough Car, both in retaliation for the divorce and to conceal his alleged questionable dealings between Cicero and Tough Car. Wow, what a retaliation that is. You're going to stop your getting ready to soon to be ex-wife's family from making money from a business that they had far before they even met you. Cicero ended its relationship with Tough Car in 2015, prompting Tough Car to sue the town. That litigation remains pending. I can tell you safely, see where it says I put there, Potempa business was dissolved in March of 2023. It had been established since 1983. This man's business had been established since 1983. And now his business has been put out of business because he lost his contract with the town of Cicero. They sued, and when they sued, they lost the lawsuit. It was essentially a negotiation, so they settled out of court, and the Potempas had to dissolve their business, and they got no money whatsoever. All courtesy of their now ex-in-law, Michael Delgado, allegedly, as a retaliation, probably, allegedly. Now, in April of 2017, all still while he's still going through this divorce with his ex-wife, Bethany, Delgado hosted a meeting at his office between the then Illinois Democratic gubernatorial candidate, who is that? Say what? J.B. Pritzker, Cicero Town President Larry Dominic, and several other political figures, the purported purpose of which was for Pritzker to procure Dominic's support. So let's look at this statement. So you're saying, okay, why would J.B. Pritzker, at the time he's a candidate, he's not the governor, he wants to be governor, so he's campaigning. Why would he call Delgado? Because allegedly or possibly Delgado runs the South Suburbs? I mean, I did read you the list of South Suburbs, villages, towns that he represents. And what do you do when you campaign? You need to collect votes. You need to meet people. You need to be connected to other people so that you can gain votes. That's how you win. You win by collecting votes. So many deals are made at offices and unofficial meetings. Look at this unofficial meeting. Look at what this unofficial meeting prompted. My other question is, who were the several other political figures in the room? Let's pretend. I mean, maybe allegedly, maybe there was Chris Welk in the room, an aspiring Speaker of the House. Maybe his wife also was in the room, an aspiring judge, allegedly. Maybe there were other senators in the room. I mean, it's really hard to tell who was in the room, but anyone could be in the room. Because why? Because careers are being made in these meetings. It's proof that it's not what you know, but who you know. Some people say, J.B. Pritzker, he's very wealthy. He comes from a wealthy family, and he does. So money is not a commodity for him. Money is not something that he needs. So how would he then boost himself up to become become president. And I would imagine, to become governors. And I would imagine that the other people that are in the room, they are pretty well-off people as well. And they're not people who money is going to do anything for them either. So that's when we get to favors. Without any exchange of money, millions were made. I just told you that Governor J.B. Pritzker, just passed a $500 million technology referendum. So the technology industry will be getting a big boost, for which a lot of people that he probably asked to vote for him are invested. They're investors. They own technology companies. Could one of them possibly own SafeSpeed? Put a pin in that, because we're definitely coming back to that. But how do you then become governor? Through favors. You say, hey, I'd like to have your vote in exchange for putting a referendum through for you, or, signing off on something, allegedly. These are favors that you would trade. Very interesting. All right, we're going to do a little sneak peek of part 2. This was my part 1. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you listened to the questions. I hope you decide to click, like, and share this video and join this channel for more. I will be coming back with part 2 of this Delgado piece. In part 2, this is a preponderance of lawyers. Presidential pockets, a preponderance of lawyers. There are 25 lawyers in the Delgado group. They all have specialties, and they all are experts in municipal law. These are your loopholers. But I would like to pose a question to you. Who is the most powerful person besides the president? It's the person who's going to put the president in the seat. Yeah, because that person will be able to ask the president for just about anything. And this is chess, not checkers. So you see, we have a few pieces on our board. For part 2, we're going to be adding a lot more pieces to this board. We're going to connect a lot more dots. We're going to begin to find out, how did this all start in this little town of Dalton, Illinois? Why did this all start in the town of Dalton, Illinois? I mean, it's a town of 20,000. How could a little town, this town so little, be attracting so many heavyweight political people? Chris Welk, his wife, Sean T. Welk. Then you have Tiffany Henyard. We're going to talk about all of that in part 2 of my Delgado piece. To be continued. Under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purpose such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statutes that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Thank you all for listening today. I hope you have a great one, and I'll see you on my next video.